this is Susan with Packleader Dog Training. I wanted to show you how to properly fit a prong collar. So not all prong collars are created equal. You actually want to get a Springer prong collar, and you'll see on the plate it does say Springer. So this is made in Germany. The reason I use the Springer collars is because they're just like a nice lightweight. Their mechanism of action is really smooth, so I don't like using the ones that have that safety clip. You want one that just looks like this, and it has two rings on it. There's going to be this more flat ring, and this is a more rounded circular ring. So this flat ring is where you're going to attach the leash to. It actually swivels, so that's how you know that that's the one you attach the leash to. This more perfect circle that's rounded is going to be the one that lays flat against the dog. So when you would pull this, it actually tightens the leash or the collar here. So again, you want your leash to be attached to this swivel ring. When you get the Springer collar, there's going to be two different sizes that you can get. Two different main sizes. So there's a 2.25 millimeter, and all that means is the size of these links. So they're 2.25 millimeters. They also make a 3.0. I do tend to use the 2.25s on most of the dogs that I train. I just like how delicate they are, how small they are. They just seem to have a quicker mechanism of action. I just really like them. But if you have a large dog, like 75 pounds or greater, you can always use the 3.0. But I like to just use the 2.25s when I can. So when you get them, depending on your dog and the size of your dog, you may need to add links or take links away. So Sadie, good girl. So I'm going to show you on this Sadie here how the fit is and what you want the fit to look like. So for sizing, to take these apart, you're actually going to do it in between the links. I find it the easiest. You can do it right at this plate, but I find it doing it in between the links is the easiest way. I hold this still with my left hand, and then I use my right hand to pop these prongs out of here. So I just pop them right out, and now it's ready for use on my dog. So Sadie. So you want it to be at the highest point of the neck, which means up here, right behind the ears. You don't want it to be hanging like a necklace, because the strongest point on their neck is down here, and they just tend to pull more. You want to be up here at the weakest point of the neck. You have the most control. And you want it to be tight enough that it doesn't slip down like a necklace. It just kind of sits inactive right at the top of her neck here, right behind her ears. So it's not engaged, it's not actively pinching in for her, it's just kind of sitting there on her skin. So again, I don't want it to be so tight that it's actively working. I want it to just be sitting there. So if you see, I can actually slip my hand under there, and with her hair, it prevents it from slipping down. If she were a short-haired dog, it might have to be just a little bit tighter because they don't have that hair to kind of hold the collar up. But for her, this works well. And you can see I can rotate it if I want to. When you're training, most of the time you'll have the leash coming out the side. So you'll see this swivel part is coming out the side of your ear. But for doing the down command, you would have this collar rotated so that it's coming down from her neck. And then if she were in a down and I wanted her to get into a sit, you'd want this swivel part at the top of the skull. So you really utilize the positioning of the collar to what you want the dog to do. But most of the time I have it coming out of the side here. So if you needed to make the collar smaller, you could actually take some of these links out. To do so, again, you would just open the collar like we did. Use your one hand to steady it, and then you just kind of pop them off. So here I have 2 extra links. I could put it on my dog, see if it was a good fit. If it's still too big, you can take another link off. And the opposite is true as well. So if I had the collar this small and I needed to add links, I could do so as well. You would just open this up, have your 2 links here. When you put the collar back together, you're going to have to squeeze these just a little bit. So I squeeze them together to line up with the spot on the other links, and then they just kind of slip in there. So we'll do it this way for you. I would squeeze with my right hand so that it fits into these extra links. So I will show you on Miss Riley the same size collar that I did for Sadie. I'm going to show you how I would size it for her. So if you just took it how it was I used for Sadie, same size, and tried to put it on her. Now I'll take her other collars off so you can see. So if you just use it as the same size, you're like, I know, I used it for my other dog, so I want to just put this collar right on my next dog, take him for a walk. You're not going to get as effective communication. You're going to notice that you need a lot more corrections with it. The dog just doesn't listen because how big it is. See how it's just sliding down her neck here? It's actually more acting like a necklace. So when it's not engaged, it just falls right down here. That's what we don't want. So you actually want it to be to where it sits inactive right behind her ears. So you have to take some of these links out. For her, I'd probably have to do, I would say 3 or 4. So take one out there, take one out here, and then I'll just take a 3rd one out as well. So you have a much smaller circumference there. We'll see if this is a good fit for her. So this is a pretty good fit. One more, I might add one more, because as you see, it's just kind of, just seems a little tight. When I put my fingers under here, it's right on her skin. So that's how you know you want to add a link. Just seems like it's actively engaging, it's applying pressure even when I'm not using it. So you take one of these extra links here, just add it, see if that's good for her, and that's much better. I can slide it around now, around her neck. It sits there with her hair, that it doesn't fall down, but it's not actively engaged. So then this would be the right size for Little. The prong collar is just the most effective tool I've found to really help owners. You get a really nice response. You don't have to worry about pulling on the leash. This just takes gentle corrections. That's the point of this. So as where normal collars, when you have it on the dog, like a flat buckle collar, it would be sitting here. If you apply pressure, it's actually choking the dog. And as we all have seen, dogs don't really seem to care. They just kind of choke themselves out on it. They don't seem to mind the pressure, and it gets nothing done. You can't really effectively communicate with the dog. This is made so that these tips are rounded, so it doesn't pierce the skin. It just sits on the dog's neck here, so it just sits like that. It's not engaged if you're not using it. So if the dog is sitting there, it's just kind of laying against the skin. When I would want the dog's attention, I would apply pressure with the leash. It closes this part so that it goes around the whole neck, and this is created in such a way that you can't choke a dog out on it. You just can't. It applies pressure with these points along the whole neck, and so the dog just feels a little bit of pressure. And it's displaced so that the dog doesn't choke out on it. And it's such an effective communication tool that you only need the slightest movement for the dog to listen. So that's why I really like the prong collar. It's an effective tool, and it's just makes life easier for the dog and for the owner. I want to make life as easy as possible. So this allows someone that's not a dog trainer to be able to walk their dog loose leash outside, get them to do their commands. It's just a really effective communication tool for your dog.